Good evening, ladies. I am so happy to be with you tonight. I wanted to pop on to talk about our topic of discussion for this week. Welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. Thank you all for joining me. Once you get on, send me a little message, wave your little hand to let me know that you're here, or just say hi. I'm glad for you to be here. Hi, Miranda. So good for you to be joining me tonight. I am going to wait probably one more minute for others to join us. But in the meantime, I wanted to show you my shirt. I'm not sure if you saw my drawing, my big announcement a few days ago on Saturday. Hi. I wanted to show you this shirt. I am wearing one of my designs. This one is, the design says the king is the most important piece on the board, but the queen is the most powerful. I love that design. I love the message behind it. If you've been with me for any amount of time on social media, you know what my passion is. My passion is helping women to know who they are, embrace who they are, love themselves, and walk in their God-given purpose. We cannot walk in our God-given purpose if we don't first know who we are. So how do we find out who we are? We look to our Father to find out who we are. He says everything that we need to know about ourselves in His Word. So I have given everyone a few minutes. Everyone else will join us later, but let's go ahead and get started. So the topic of today and the rest of the week is racial profiling. Now, this is a subject that we don't like talking about, but I feel like it's a necessity. And the reason I feel like it's a necessity is because it doesn't just affect one race. It affects white, black, Mexican, whoever you are, it's going to affect you in some way. And the reason I feel that it does is because for those of us who have friends, family members in different racial denominations, trying to figure out how to categorize this because it's a sensitive area. Sometimes, like I have people in my family who are biracial, but how do you classify them? Are they black? Are they white? I've heard them referred to as being mutts, which is very derogative. I don't like that term. We use it for dogs, so why are we okay with using it for people? I digress. But anyway, that's one of the topics that branches off from our main topic. So let's get back on subject, racial profiling. I actually shared a video in the group that showed one instance of racial profiling that we have actually seen. I've seen it, it's almost on a weekly occurrence, sometimes daily, where I'm reading articles, I'm seeing clips on social media of people calling the police because they feel like someone is dangerous or they feel like someone is breaking the law. And most of the time it turns out that they're not. So why do we feel like people are emboldened to do this now? Why do we feel like they're comfortable doing it? Is it something that's just started happening? Or do you feel like it's only because we have social media, smartphones, a better way to display it now than we've had in the past? Personally, I think that this has always existed. It's just we have more ways to display it now. People are more, I would say they're braver. People are more likely to film you now doing something that isn't right. I actually, when I was looking up this story, along with so many others that I've seen in the news, I actually wrote down a few comments of my own that I wanted to touch on tonight as we're having this discussion. But before I touch on my points, the one thing that I kept coming back to is if we follow the one thing that God told us in his word, and that is love your neighbor as yourself. If we love each other the way that we love ourselves, then how can we treat each other this way? How can we see each other as inferior? How can we see someone else and think, oh, well, they're automatically a criminal, or they're less than me, they're inferior, they don't belong here? How can we treat each other in such a manner that is beneath what a normal human being should be, how they should be treated? How can we be okay with that and say that we're right with God? In my opinion, we can't. We cannot continue to treat others in such a disrespectful way and say that it's fine, as long as it's not someone that I know, as long as it's not someone that I love, it's fine. That is the wrong attitude to have. It's the wrong mentality to have. And I think the more we see this, the bigger the problem is going to get. We're actually seeing so many people who feel so comfortable. They feel so comfortable picking up the phone and using police officers as their very own, what wording did I use? They're using police officers to enforce unwritten social rules. So for them, police officers are at their beck and call to basically sick people, sick them like you would say to a dog, sick an intruder, or just sick someone that you don't like. They're using police officers as their personal enforcers. This is not right. Miranda says that's exactly the problem. Lack of love and respect for others. Treat people how you want to be treated. Exactly. And I go a step further. Treat people how God says that we should treat them, because even if we don't want to treat them right, we have to look at what the Word of God says. And some of these people believe that they are followers of Christ, but I can't see how they can honestly believe that they're followers of Christ if they're treating others worse than they would treat an animal. They wouldn't. I see so many times where people are in an uproar when they see animals being abused, and yet you will do those behaviors and worse to another human being. I can't understand it. And just some of the points that I made for myself as I was researching this topic. We are in an era with social media, with instant news, that we have so much access to all of this. Everything that's going on, we have instant access to it. This is good and it's bad. The reason I say that it's good is because we can see these things happening. We can hold these people accountable by showing their faces, and we can say, hey, this is not okay. And it's not just for people who look like me, but people who are Caucasian, Mexicans. We can all stand together and say this is not okay, because the way that the world is now, everyone knows someone or has a friend or family member who is of a different race. So we can stand up together and bind together and say this is not okay. And so for the few